Star Fox is back, and I don't necessarily know if I like that. Miketendo here, so let's get right to it. Oh man, where do I start? The Super NES Mini. I guess you could call it that. I don't know. The small little baby Super NES that they're coming out with. You've probably seen everybody and their mother talk about it. And normally I don't like tossing my 2 cents in, but nobody's really talking about this one specific part on YouTube, and it's probably the most important thing that everyone's like, oh cool, the Super NES Mini, but they're forgetting that we're getting Star Fox 2, like an official version. Now, you know, immediately everyone's going to jump on here and they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, whoa. Star Fox 2 has been out forever. You can get it on a repro cart. You can download the ROM for free, whatever. No, that is not Star Fox 2 100% official. The reason for this, and some of you or most of you may know this, but some don't. Star Fox 2, originally developed by Argonaut Games, was a sequel that Argonaut Games worked on. They worked on the first one as well with Nintendo. And the second one was going to come out, and it got shelved mostly due to the fact that Shigeru Miyamoto felt that it was too close to the N64 in terms of like the launch window, and I don't know, something to do with the graphics. Like they didn't want the graphics to, they didn't want people to look at that game and be like, oh wow, the graphics are so amazing. Because there was such a huge, I mean, there was such a huge difference between the Super Nintendo and the N64. I don't know why people would think that. But what they ended up doing is using Star Fox 2's assets to make games like Star Fox 64. They used some of the ideas in Star Fox Armada. I don't know, I'm sorry, not Armada. The Star Fox, I think it's called Assault. Whatever the one, no, I'm sorry, Command, the one for the DS. And also Star Fox Zero, which was the newest one that just came out. So, Nintendo's been kind of utilizing all these various different features and abilities and things that Star Fox 2 featured. And, you know, I had always thought that they would never ever officially release Star Fox 2. I always figured it was just canceled. But this game probably takes the cake for the longest, the game with the longest development time and release time in history, most likely. You got to figure it's been what, like over 20 years since the game was supposed to come out. We talked a lot about this on the Pixel Tunes radio episode of Star Fox, so if you are a Star Fox fan, you want to give it a listen, check that out. That'll be at the end of the video. You can click on a link. Anyways, so I'm a pretty big Star Fox fan, like pretty huge, and so this is really big news to me because I've always wanted to play Star Fox 2 like all the way through. I've kind of dabbled with the ROM a little bit, but I really didn't. I guess because it was an unofficial, like fan-patched version, the game was never 100% finished in the sense that that we were able to play it up until now. So up until now, the game's been anywhere between 75 to 90% finished, with about 25 to 10% around that mark being unfinished or finished by fans. So fans basically made the game playable or finished the game, unlocked some of the code, and kind of toyed around with it or whatever. But it wasn't done officially by Nintendo. So with that news, I'm curious. I have a lot of like things kind of like running through my head. The first, which actually was already answered, this is actually the second time I'm doing this video, because the first time I had asked a bunch of questions regarding Dylan Cuthbert, who was the lead coder from Argonaut Games, and he's probably one of the most well-known, most outspoken people regarding the Star Fox 1 and 2 games, and he also worked on Command as well, and that's where some of those features from Star Fox 2 got utilized in Star Fox Command, and they worked really well. Star Fox Command is a great game, by the way. You should definitely pick it up. So yeah, so he basically came on Twitter and, well, he was on Twitter, but he basically showed up and was talking about Star Fox 2 and how, the game, like, you know, he's not making any money off of this version that Nintendo is making, which is a shame because the game they worked on for probably, you know, close to 1.5 to 2 years, and the game got shelved. What's really crappy about this whole thing is that Star Fox 2 was delayed, and then they just basically canceled it, or didn't say, you know, just basically they stopped talking about it or unofficially canceled it. And the N64 got delayed another year. So you had this whole year where you could have released Star Fox 2 and you didn't. So I don't really know what was going on with Nintendo at that time. But anyways, jumping ahead now to 2017, we're getting a Super Nintendo Mini system, and I'm so torn because I really don't want the Super Nintendo Mini. I really don't. I don't need it. I have, I think, almost all of those games complete in box. I'm almost, or if not complete in box, then like close to it, like loose, maybe loose with the manual. Like I have most of those games, most of the games that are in that list that I would actually want to play. You know, Super Castlevania 4, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Super Mario World I have, but not complete in box. But you know, a bunch of the other games, Mario RPG, I have that complete in box. So like, I have all these games. I don't need these games again. I don't. In fact, Super Castlevania 4 I have downloaded again on the Wii U Virtual Console and the Wii Virtual Console. Like I have it there too. So yeah, I don't really want this system, but I'm so torn as a hardcore Star Fox fan. I really don't want it, but at the same time I do. So, now, you may be saying to yourself, why don't you just wait till it gets cracked? They've made it so that you have to beat the first level in order to unlock the game. So I have many questions about that. So first off, is the game going to be able to be reverse engineered so that the ROM can maybe be ripped out from this thing and be put online as a 100% finished ROM version, or is the code going to be so intricate that it's not going to be able to be reverse engineered into a Super Nintendo ROM? I'm interested in that. That's probably the big thing, because if that's the case, you know, hackers are going to do what they need to do to make that happen. That'd be awesome if they would. I'm also really terrified of buying this thing in the sense that I don't think I'm going to be able to get one. Nintendo has come forth and said that they're going to try to release more of these things based on the feedback that they got from the NES Mini, where nobody could get one and only the scalpers could get one. So I am hoping that Nintendo learns their lesson on this one, and you know, my estimate, in all honesty, is that they're going to sell probably about, I'd say, 2 to 3 million of these. I'd say that's what I think. I think they're going to say, all right, we're going to produce this. It's going to be a very limited batch, very limited quantity, but at the same time, it's going to be enough so that everyone's happy, and you know, we make our fans happy. So I would say probably 2 to 3 million worth would probably, you know, satisfy most people. It'd satisfy the hardcore people. And you know what, to be honest with you, I really hope that they make more than that. I hope they make like 5, 6, 7, 8,000 of these. I hope they put so many of these in the stores that all these resellers and people who want to try to make a quick buck choke on them. I hope they buy like 50 of them and they can't sell them for what they're worth, and they have to lose money on it. Why? Because they're taking advantage of good people, good honest people, and people who are older who want to buy something for their kids or their grandkids or whatever that they would appreciate. Those are the kind of things that I look at that really make me angry about the NES Mini. And that was one of the reasons why I made a video basically saying that it's not for collectors. You know, and I got tons of hate for that, and a lot of people came back to the, you know, to that video and basically were like, hey, listen, here's some legitimate reasons as to why I need it. And you know what? A lot of those reasons were actually really good, and you guys did a really awesome job of kind of coming on and being like, hey, you know what? This is actually something that you may not have thought of. Things like bringing it to a hotel or bringing it on a trip. I was at Too Many Games this past weekend, and I really could have used that. Like, it would have been awesome to like have, you know, a Super Nintendo Mini in there, and you know, just a nice little cool system that you can bring with you and play, and you could show off Star Fox 2 and all that. So you guys had, you know, really kind of opened up my eyes a little bit as far as like some other uses other than just having it sit on a shelf as a collector's item. And that's kind of what I was coming at with my previous video regarding the NES Mini. You know, I really am kind of tired of the dust collecting that's taking place, and I would much rather want people to like play their games and play their systems. So if you do get the Super NES Mini, I do encourage you actually play it, open it up, try it out, play it, and see if you know, be happy with it, make use of it. So for those of you who did that with the NES Mini, that's awesome, and that's really cool. So, getting back on topic, so Star Fox 2 rather, is this game going to be canon? Meaning, is it going to like retcon anything possibly? I mean, you've got 2 new pilots who have never really been discussed or talked about, like Miyu and Faye. And so, are we counting that as a canon release, that we can enter that back into the Star Fox universe? I'm curious what everyone's thoughts on this topic are. You know, the Super NES Mini, of course, but most specifically Star Fox 2. What you guys' thoughts are on this? Are you excited to play it? I know I certainly am, and to be honest, I'm probably going to try to track this thing down and get it, because I just cannot pass up the opportunity to play Star Fox 2 in its 100% complete form for the first time. So leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys again. And I don't really have a way to end this video. Here you go.